Okay, so today we're diving into something pretty fundamental, right? A question that really shapes, well, everything. Societies, economies, even how we find our own purpose. What is the true aim of education? Is it basically job training? Getting us ready with specific skills, making us efficient cogs in the economic machine?
Or is it something bigger?
Exactly. Or is it about shaping us into well-rounded people, critical thinkers, folks who can adapt, solve problems, be ethically grounded, navigate this really complex world we live in no matter what job they end up doing?
Yeah, it's not just some academic squabble, is it?
Not at all. It's a real tension. It affects policy, families, the whole direction society is heading. So today, we're going deep on this.
And we've got some great material to work with for this deep dive. There's this really comprehensive essay we're drawing from. It doesn't just look at both sides.
The job focus versus the personal growth focus.
Right. It examines them meticulously, but then it does something crucial. It proposes what it calls a synergistic approach.
Synergistic, so like mixing them together.
Well, yeah, but more than just a simple mix or a compromise. Synergy implies the combination creates something, well, better. An outcome that's greater, more impactful than either approach could manage on its own.
Okay, got it. So our mission today
Is really to pull out the key insights from this essay.
Yeah.
We need to weigh the pros and cons of each view, see where they fall short, but also understand their strengths.
And then figure out how they might actually work together, not just coexist, but really weave together for maybe a better educational future.
Precisely. And this really matters for you, listening in. Doesn't matter if you're a student figuring things out, a parent, an employer looking for talent, someone making policy.
Or even just curious about how society works.
Absolutely. Understanding this dynamic is critical. It's not abstract theory. This stuff has real-world impact on lives, on economies, on communities. It's tangible.
It really is. And what's fascinating, I think, is how you can clearly see these two different philosophies clashing, almost. So let's start with the first one. The perspective that, sees education as basically a direct pipeline to the economy.
The economic engine argument.
Yeah. This view says, pretty forcefully, education's #1 job is getting you ready for a job, making you a contributor to economic growth. Schools, universities, they're feeders for the workforce. So unpack that core argument for us.
Okay, so from this viewpoint, it's very straightforward. The main function, the primary function of education, is to produce competent people who can step right into jobs. People who directly drive economic growth, productivity.
Immediately employable.
Immediately employable. That's the key. The belief is, in today's world, this global market, it's hyper-competitive. Industries aren't just looking for general knowledge anymore. They need, and they're demanding it more urgently, employees with really specialized skills.
Skills you can use on day one.
Exactly. Day one skills. Think about tech coders. AI specialists, data scientists, they're indispensable. Or complex engineering fields, designing infrastructure, new energy tech, or healthcare, obviously. Skilled nurses, technicians, researchers, the demand is constant.
So the logic is purely pragmatic.
It's powerfully pragmatic, yes.
Focus education intensely on these specific skill sets. What do you get? High employability for graduates.
Which businesses want.
Which businesses need. And that fuels innovation within industries, keeps the nation competitive globally, and strengthens the whole economy. You get a robust, skilled workforce.
So it's an efficiency model, really. Education for immediate economic impact.
Right.
Turning classrooms into, advanced training grounds.
That's a good way to put it. Advanced training grounds for the modern workforce. It prioritizes that direct contribution.
It paints a very clear, results-oriented picture. Makes a lot of sense when you think about what businesses need right now, what national economies need. But is there a real-world example, a system that's really embraced this and made it work? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the classic example everyone points to, often globally lauded, is Germany's dual education system.
Right, the German model. I've heard about that.
Yeah, and it's not just theory. It's deeply embedded in their national strategy. It works because it seamlessly, rigorously combines academic study in vocational schools with extensive hands-on training.
Hands-on how?
Usually through paid apprenticeships, right inside companies. So imagine a young person maybe spending a couple of days a week in class learning theory, physics, math, whatever.
Okay.
And then the rest of the week, they're actually on the factory floor of a car company or maybe in a software firm applying that exact knowledge.
Yeah.
With experienced professionals guiding them.
So businesses are directly involved.
Hugely involved. They help shape the curriculum. They provide the direct training. It's a true partnership.
And the results, what does that actually lead to?
Well, the most striking result is Germany consistently has remarkably low youth unemployment rates,
Yeah.
often way lower than many other developed countries. The insight here is powerful. Graduates don't just have theory. They have practical expertise, ready to go from day one. It minimizes that gap, the gap between classroom learning and what a real job demands.
That frustration of, I learned all this stuff, but I don't know how to actually do anything.
Precisely. It smooths that transition from learning to earning incredibly well. Good for the individual, less uncertainty. Good for businesses, steady supply of trained talent. It's a powerful engine for their economy.
Okay, so it's not just about getting one person a job. It sounds like it has bigger implications for society, for development. How does this skills focus tackle those larger issues?
Well, it has a huge impact on addressing critical skill shortages and driving national development, especially if you look at emerging economies.
That's so.
Think about it. In developing nations, targeted technical training can be genuinely transformative. Imagine programs focused on, say, sustainable agriculture, training farmers in advanced irrigation, crop rotation.
Practical stuff.
Very practical. Or renewable energy training technicians to install and maintain solar panels in villages that are off-grid. These kinds of specific, result-focused programs directly empower communities. They help reduce poverty, promote sustainability. They give people concrete tools to solve their own urgent problems.
Okay, that makes sense. So, from this perspective, what's the critique of, say, a more traditional, maybe more abstract education?
The critics argue pretty strongly that if you focus only on broad skills like critical thinking, without that strong vocational piece, you might actually leave graduates unprepared for the job market.
Setting them up to fail, almost.
Or at least struggle. It creates what they call the skills mismatch. You hear that term a lot.
Right.
It's this painful gap between what schools are producing and what industries actually need right now. And it's not just about individuals being unemployed. It's a drag on the whole system. Wasted talent, lower productivity, less innovation.
And you mentioned STEM earlier.
Yes, absolutely. There's this undeniable escalating demand for STEM skills. Science, technology, engineering, math.
Yeah.
These aren't just academic interests. They're crucial for tackling our biggest global challenges.
Like climate change, technology disruption.
Exactly. Climate change, resource management, cybersecurity, future pandemics. These demand concrete, specialized skills. You need people who can engineer the solutions. So what's fascinating here is how clearly this perspective just prioritizes tangible, immediate contributions, solving society's most pressing material needs. Education as a direct, practical tool.
It's a very compelling case for practicality and efficiency, especially in a world that feels so competitive and, frankly, demanding. But let's play devil's advocate. If we went all in on this, put all our educational eggs in the vocational basket, are there potential downsides, long-term risks? What about adaptability?
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It highlights a really significant limitation if you focus too narrowly, too exclusively on vocational training. It might be super efficient in the short term, yes. But it risks producing individuals who are maybe incredibly proficient in one specific thing.
Masters of one trade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they might lack broader intellectual tools. And crucially, they might lack the cognitive flexibility, the ability to pivot when things inevitably change.
And things are changing rapidly.
Understatement of the year. We're deep in an era of automation, AI, massive global disruptions. Industries are constantly being reshaped. Jobs that are common today might barely exist in 5 or 10 years. New jobs we can't even imagine will pop up.
So just knowing how to do one specific thing isn't enough for a whole career?
Increasingly, no. You need more than just technical skill to stay competitive, employable over decades. Without those foundational abilities, creative problem-solving, critical analysis, good communication, real adaptability.
What do you mean by adaptability exactly?
The ability to learn new things quickly, to apply what you already know in new, unfamiliar situations. Without that, graduates might really struggle when faced with future, unforeseen career shifts.
Like the factory worker whose job gets automated.
Precisely. If they only have that one specific skill set, retraining could be incredibly difficult. Or a software developer whose main language becomes obsolete. Without foundational logic and adaptability, they risk being left behind.
So the risk is building for obsolescence.
That's the concern. Highly efficient for today's known needs, but potentially obsolete tomorrow. And connecting this to the bigger picture, it forces us to ask, are we preparing people for just one job, one narrow role that might disappear? Or are we equipping them for a lifetime of learning, adapting in a world that's constantly in flux?
That distinction feels absolutely vital, especially for the long haul, for resilience.
It really is, for individuals and for society as a whole.
Okay, so the adaptability issue is a big one for the purely vocational model.
Okay.
But let's flip the coin now, because while that economic argument is powerful, a lot of people argue we lose something essential, something maybe even more fundamental, if we only focus on job skills. So let's unpack this other powerful perspective, the one that champions education as more of a journey. Personal growth, intellectual expansion, cultivating the whole individual. Tell us about that vision.
Right. This vision is really a stark contrast. It's centered on nurturing our intellectual and emotional capacities. It sees a much broader, much more holistic purpose for education than just getting a job.
So what's the core argument here?
The core argument is that education should primarily foster personal development, cultivating well-rounded individuals, people with a rich inner life, a strong sense of purpose, not just cogs in the economic machine.
And what qualities are key here?
Things like genuine intellectual curiosity, that thirst for knowledge for its own sake, strong ethical reasoning, being able to grapple with complex moral questions, deep self-awareness, understanding yourself, your biases, your strengths, is about building character, empathy, intellect, all together.
So education as an end in itself, not just a means to an economic end.
Exactly. It's about enriching the human spirit, preparing people for a life well lived, which goes way beyond just having a job well done. That's the profound insight from this perspective.
Okay, and within that framework, what about subjects that sometimes get pushed aside? Things like humanities, arts, often called soft skills or electives. Are they important here?
Oh, they're not just important, they're considered absolutely indispensable in this view. They aren't soft or extras at all. They're fundamental pillars for developing humans in healthy societies.
How so? What do they actually do?
Well, think about literature, philosophy, history, the arts. These disciplines actively push students beyond just memorizing facts. They challenge you to question assumptions, to analyze complex issues from different viewpoints, to develop real empathy.
Understanding how others feel and see the world.
Yes. Genuinely understanding and sharing the feelings and perspectives of others, even people very different from you. Engaging with great literature, for example, lets you explore the human condition, moral dilemmas, consequences of actions across cultures and time. Philosophy trains your mind in rigorous logic, ethical frameworks.
So these build responsible citizens, good relationships.
Precisely. These are seen as essential qualities for responsible citizenship in a democracy, for strong interpersonal relationships, for building cohesive, compassionate communities that can handle shared challenges with nuance. The insight is these subjects build your inner architecture. They provide the mental and moral framework for a meaningful life, way beyond any specific technical skill.
That's a powerful way to think about it, the inner architecture. Can you give us a real-world example, a program that really tries to embody this holistic development idea?
Sure. A really good global example is the International Baccalaureate Program, the IB.
Ah, yes, the IB.
Its curriculum is explicitly designed to foster critical thinking, international mindedness, and holistic development. It covers a wide range of subjects, but it's not just about accumulating knowledge in those subjects.
What else does it include?
It has core components like theory of knowledge, or TOK. That challenges students to reflect on knowledge itself. How do we know what we claim to know? Then there's creativity, activity service, CAS, which pushes learning outside the classroom through experience, and the extended essay, a big independent research project.
So it's about how you think, not just what you know.
Exactly. Research on IB students often shows they get significantly better at solving complex problems creatively, thinking critically across different fields, and adapting to diverse global situations. They develop strong research skills, synthesis skills, independent thought. It prepares them not just for university, but for life, with a broader intellectual toolkit.
That really does raise that question you posed earlier.
Yeah.
What kind of society are we trying to build? One just run by skilled hands, or one guided by thoughtful minds, or somehow both?
It's a central question, isn't it?
It really is. So, sticking with this personal development focus for a moment, how does this approach prepare people for the future, especially with all the crazy, unpredictable changes happening?
Well, advocates would say this approach is uniquely effective for navigating precisely that complexity and unpredictability. We live in this time of incredibly rapid tech change, huge social shifts, interconnected global problems.
Right. Information overload, constant change.
Exactly. And in that kind of landscape, critical thinking isn't a luxury, it's paramount. It's what lets you evaluate all that information, sort of fact from fiction, spot bias, see nuance. It helps you make informed decisions, contribute meaningfully beyond just your job description.
So creating better citizens, essentially.
And our citizens, yes.
hmm
People who can engage in real civic discourse, challenge outdated ideas, lead with vision and a moral compass. People who can see emerging trends, understand complex systems, and maybe envision truly innovative solutions.
And you mentioned resilience earlier, too.
Yes, that's another key benefit. Education prioritizing personal development also builds crucial psychological assets, mental resilience, emotional intelligence,
Why is that so vital now?
because these are critical for just maintaining well-being, having healthy relationships, and achieving success in today's high-pressure world. Being able to manage stress, understand your emotions and others, collaborate with empathy, bounce back from adversity, these are becoming incredibly valuable skills in every part of life.
So from this viewpoint, what's the main critique of just focusing on job training?
The critique is that reducing education only to job training neglects its broader, maybe more fundamental societal role. That narrow focus, they argue, risks producing people who are technically skilled, sure, but might lack the big picture vision, the ethical compass, the deep understanding needed to tackle huge global challenges.
Like inequality or
Right.
climate change or the ethics of AI.
Precisely. Those complex issues require more than just technical know-how. They require wisdom, empathy, critical thought. So the insight here is that an education focused on personal development prepares you not just for a job, but maybe for any job, and more importantly, for life itself. It gives you the internal resources to face the unknown with courage, intelligence, and humanity.
You know, think about a time when your own problem solving or empathy or creative thinking got you through something tough, maybe more than any specific technical skill did.
Exactly. That's what this perspective really champions as the lasting value.
Okay, that's a really compelling vision. A well-rounded, resilient, thoughtful person. It sounds, honestly, almost ideal for personal growth, for societal progress. But let's bring it back to earth a bit. If we swing the pendulum too far this way, overemphasize personal development, intellectual curiosity, above all else, could there be real practical drawbacks? I mean, what about just getting a job, paying the bills?
And that is an incredibly valid, very practical concern. It really highlights the unavoidable limitations if you disconnect personal development from the realities of the world.
Because
Well, without a foundation of actual marketable skills, skills that industries are actively looking for, graduates can face really significant, daunting challenges in the job market,
leading to...
leading to potentially high rates of unemployment or underemployment, especially in economies where job competition is fierce. It's a real and painful possibility.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about a purely liberal arts education. It can be incredibly enriching for your mind, your worldview, your critical thinking, no doubt about that. But it might not directly give you the specific technical expertise needed in highly specialized fields.
Like data science or certain kinds of engineering.
Exactly. Imagine a brilliant philosophy graduate, deep insights into ethics, human nature, fantastic critical thinker. But if a tech startup needs specific coding skills now, or a pharma company needs specific lab techniques now,
That philosophy degree might not get them the interview.
it might not. Despite all that intellectual capital, their career options could feel frustratingly limited, simply because they lack those tangible, specific skills employers need to fill immediate roles.
So the insight there
The
is...
insight is profound, I think. Intellectual enrichment is invaluable, truly. But the economic realities mean you need some kind of bridge between acquiring knowledge and being able to contribute economically to make a living.
It's a real tension, isn't it? How do you balance pursuing knowledge for its own sake, which feels so important, with the very real need for a job, for stability?
It's a fascinating and often painful tension, a paradox, really, that every education system has to wrestle with. How do you balance that invaluable enrichment with the immediate need for economic stability and contribution?
Okay, so listening to all this, it feels abundantly clear. Both approaches, the job focus, the personal growth focus, they both have incredible strengths, real benefits, but they also both have pretty significant weaknesses if you pursue them totally in isolation. One risks inflexibility, the other risks impracticality.
That sums it up well.
So the critical question becomes, how do we get the best of both worlds? How do we build an education system that prepares people for a good career, sure, but also for a rich, meaningful, adaptable life? Let's unpack this idea of striking a balance, of really integrating these two powerful perspectives.
Exactly, and the core opinion that comes through so strongly in the source material is precisely that. Education shouldn't choose one path or the other. It shouldn't even just try to compromise. It needs to strategically, deliberately strike a profound balance between them.
So what does that ideal system look like, according to the source?
The vision is for a system that seamlessly integrates rigorous vocational training, real skill acquisition, with ample, intentional opportunities for deep personal growth and broad intellectual development.
Can you give an example of what that might look like in practice?
Sure. Imagine learning to code, but having that paired directly with exploring the ethical implications of AI, or mastering advanced engineering principles, but also spending significant time developing strong leadership and communication skills. It's about weaving them together constantly.
So the outcome isn't just employable graduates.
No, the desired outcome is much bigger. It's graduates who are not only highly employable with the specific skills industries need today, but who are also exceptionally adaptable.
Because they have those broader capacities.
Exactly. The cognitive, emotional, ethical capacities to thrive no matter what the future throws at them. They're not just trained for a job. They're educated for a lifetime of evolving work and meaningful contribution.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, this isn't just splitting the difference.
Not at all. It's about actively creating something more robust, more resilient, a genuinely more effective, and frankly, more humane educational model for the 21st century and beyond. Building individuals who can innovate, adapt, lead, and live fulfilling lives.
That sounds incredibly ambitious, but also maybe achievable. Are there concrete examples, things already happening or being envisioned, that show this kind of synergy? Models we can look at?
Fortunately, yes. There are some really compelling models emerging that blend learning and development in just this way. They illustrate this integrated approach beautifully.
Like what?
Well, one great example is deliberately incorporating critical thinking, creativity, ethics, right into what we might think of as purely technical subjects.
Okay.
You see this really clearly in interdisciplinary programs like STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Right, putting the A for arts in there.
Exactly, and that A isn't just tacked on. It's a conscious effort to inject creativity, design thinking, aesthetics, ethical considerations into fields that were traditionally just technical.
So an engineering student isn't just focused on the math and physics.
Right. Maybe they're designing a new energy system. They have to get the technical specs right, of course. But in a STEAM approach, they're also considering the societal impact, the user experience, maybe even the artistic design of the components, the ethical sourcing of materials.
What's the benefit of doing that?
The benefits are huge. You equip students with those practical, in-demand technical skills, yes, but also with the creativity, the ability to see problems differently, the innovative mindset to develop genuinely novel solutions, not just execute tasks someone else defined.
So they become innovators, not just technicians.
Exactly. Visionaries even. It deepens their understanding and broadens their potential impact significantly. And another compelling example, you see it in modern workplace training programs. The really good ones have moved way beyond just narrow skill building for a specific task.
How so?
Well, they go beyond just teaching the technical specifics. They actively incorporate crucial things like leadership skills, communication training, team building, conflict resolution, ethical decision-making frameworks.
So a tech company isn't just teaching a new coding language.
Right. A forward-thinking company might also dedicate serious time to training engineers on how to present their ideas effectively, how to collaborate well in diverse teams, how to navigate tricky project management issues with empathy and constructive feedback.
So it's professional and personal development happening together.
Simultaneously, yes. Employees become more proficient technically, sure. But they also grow into better communicators, more empathetic leaders, more well-adjusted individuals who can handle complex workplace dynamics and contribute positively to the whole culture.
So what's the overarching goal of integrating things this way?
The overarching aim is profound, really. It prepares people not only for today's job market, giving them immediate utility, career readiness, but it also cultivates a mindset for lifelong learning, continuous adaptation, and meaningful contribution to society.
Because the world keeps changing.
Because the world keeps changing, information is everywhere, and the ability to learn, adapt, and innovate becomes the ultimate survival skill, the ultimate asset.
Which really raises a big question for everyone involved in education, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. For educators, policymakers, employers, parents, all of us. How can we actively design curricula, learning environments from kindergarten right through to professional development that naturally weave these two vital threads together. Vocational training and personal development.
Yeah.
Make them inseparable, mutually reinforcing parts of a truly impactful education.
Inseparable and mutually reinforcing. I like that. That really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? From an either-or to a both hand.
Precisely.
So let's bring it home. For you, listening right now, what's the ultimate takeaway, the resonant message from this deep dive into the whole purpose of education? What does this mean for your own journey, your work, your place in the world?
Well, I think in summary, this deep dive really hammers home the profound, undeniable dual role of education. Yes, rigorous workforce preparation is vital. You need it for economic relevance, for immediate employability. It helps individuals build careers, fuels innovation, drives prosperity. That's undeniable. But personal development, the kind cultivated through critical thinking, ethical reasoning, emotional intelligence that fosters something maybe even more enduring, it fosters adaptability, resilience, creativity, the moral compass you need to navigate a complex, constantly changing world.
So the conclusion from the analysis is clear.
Unequivocally, a balanced education system, one that consciously, strategically blends practical skills with broad intellectual growth and deep personal development, that's the most effective, the most holistic way to equip people for all the demands of modern life.
So when education gets that balance right.
When it gets that balance right, when it gives students both the technical expertise to contribute now and the wisdom to think critically, creatively, ethically, then it truly fulfills its highest dual role. It becomes this powerful engine for economic progress, yes, but also an indispensable catalyst for deep personal fulfillment and real societal advancement. It shapes not just careers, but lives, and maybe the future of humanity itself.
Wow. That's quite a statement and
Yeah.
a powerful vision. Okay, so here's a final thought. A provocative one, perhaps, for you to chew on long after this deep dive is over. As you think about your own learning path, past, present, future, or maybe the educational journeys of people around you, your kids, colleagues, your community, how might you actively look for or advocate for, or maybe even create opportunities that intentionally integrate both practical skill building and that profound intellectual exploration?
Yeah, how do you push for both?
What concrete steps can you take right now in your own sphere of influence to make sure learning environments foster not just readiness for a job, but true readiness for life? Life with all its curveballs, its amazing opportunities, its constant call for us to grow and contribute. How can you help foster that crucial balance? Something to think about.